Um, so I guess this first episode, I really wanted to talk about Star Wars, of course. It's one of my main passions, something I've loved for a very long time. And so I kind of wanted to talk about where it's going, why I've loved it, and who still talks about it and why it's relevant. Um, I I have loved Star Wars ever since I was probably 3 years old. It's something, obviously, it's on my walls and it's everywhere in my life, and it's been a special thing to me for a very long time. And I grew up with it. It was something that it spoke to a lot of people. Um, it still does, and that's why you have, I would say, a fan base that is so mixed on a lot of opinions, and they really tend to argue on the internet and social media about things that they disagree on. And I think that it's good to communicate that with one another, right? Like things that you disagree on with things that you like, fan bases, anything really, music and stuff like that. But anyway, Star Wars is a great thing to me. It is spoken uh, many bounds in a way. I know that doesn't really make sense, but it's something that I could grasp onto when I didn't want to look for a reality. That sounds weird, but as a kid, you have such a big imagination, and it gave me a sense of imagination where it wasn't real, but it felt so real. When you watch it, it was not in this world. It was out of this world, and it was something, like E.T., things like that. Very not before. It was before my time. It was something that when I saw it, I was so enthralled, and it took me away. And I think that the more you take something out of something, it dilutes it. And parts of Star Wars have become a little diluted. I still love it to death, and you slap a Star Wars logo on anything and it becomes more expensive, and I still love Star Wars for the fact that it gave me an escape as a child, and it's still a great thing. Uh, for instance, right, I feel like Disney has made a lot of mistakes, but I still think there are great moments in the things that they have made. Um, and you don't, as a fan, I don't think you have to know every part of something. I believe that you can be a fan of anything and just know something for a day, right? I don't think it's fair to say someone isn't a fan for this or someone isn't a fan because of this, and gatekeep what someone likes or what you want to have knowledge in. I think it's something that we find passion in, and it's hard because you have the internet and it's very powerful, and you want to express your emotions and your feelings, and sometimes it becomes aggressive and toxic, or sometimes it becomes very emotional. And the whole point of this first discussion is that, like, I really love Star Wars, and I find passion in it, and it's something that I have seen YouTubers find passion in, and they found success. And success is a different kind of meaning, but my point is that I've seen people in the real world find passion in something that was a fantasy. And Stranger Things, there are many different Lord of the Rings, there are many different ideas that people have made in the past that are amazing, and they have made so much money. And it is just profitable, people love it, and it is just such a cool idea. And it opens up a world for young people like me to make their own ideas and come up with their own things, their own comics and stories and fan fictions, for sure, Wattpad and things like that. But Star Wars, I feel like right now, is at a rock and a hard place. I feel like we're coming out with some good things and a lot of things that are particularly not great in the writing and the story. I wish that we could have something where you could still have diversity and ethnicity, but also have a good story for a character. I think that we have Rey, who is a very great actress. I think she just had a bad role, and they gave her bad writing. I felt very bad for a lot of people in the 7, 8, and 9 movies. I think that they just got a bad rap, and it's unfair for them to, for people to say what they say about them. And also, there are also people in the world that feel like you should just love a character just because, and I think that that isn't fair. I feel like we should all say what we feel, but also in a very professional way, when you're talking to someone who disagrees with you. And I think with, the 7, 8, 9 movies had a lot of potential. Now there was just a lot of hiccups. There was two different directors, and you flip flop from each movie. 7 had Abrams, right, and 8 had Johnson, and you go back to Abrams, and I believe that is what happened. But regardless, they were just mixed up, and they weren't ready to go to the theaters, in my opinion. And it was sad to watch them as a Star Wars fan, because they had good moments, but the writing, right, is the most important part. The story, the complex structure of beginning to end is the most important part of something to a fan. I don't think it matters to a fan who you put in it, or why this person has said this, or why their backstory, right? You can give backstory, but it doesn't have to revolve around real Earth issues, in my opinion. I think that you can add whoever you want to anything. It doesn't matter what color you are, what age, what gender. I think that you should add anyone into anything. And I feel like right now we're so focused on that we forget about a story. And I think that we should have the balance between both. I think that the writers, right, we have Leslie Headland, I believe is her name, for Acolyte coming out, and I feel a mix for her, because she has said a lot of things, right, that she has brought in these actors that she kind of just picks from movies she likes, and she kind of, in my opinion, doesn't research many things and about her source material, and it seems like she's kind of basing these off of opinionated views, and I don't know much about her, and I would not give her any hate or dislike. I haven't seen the show yet, so I really can't wait to see what it is all about, to see what she has created. But a lot of her dynamic is surrounded of, pro women, and that's great, I believe. But I just personally think that we need a story about a galaxy far, far away. You can have as many women, as many droids, as many aliens as you want in a show. But I feel like once you kind of consume yourself with almost a toxicity of a certain oppression, you kind of... Oops, Lego fell down. But I think that we should focus on the story as well. That's kind of my whole point with this Acolyte show coming out. I watched the trailer and I felt like we needed more droids. Star Wars Theory, a great YouTuber. Shout him out, he's a good guy. He's such a cool guy, just really well-rounded dude. But I feel like in Acolyte, right, when I watch this trailer and kind of watch a lot of people break it down, I do kind of side with the fact that we do need more variety. We do. Droids, aliens, all of the above. It is so amazing to see women become these actors, and great actresses, I mean, in big roles, right? Rey Skywalker is a great role if she was written right. We've had great women play great roles in Star Wars. You have Ahsoka, right? And I personally believe there's so many mixed bag feelings about that show, and there's a lot of things I loved about it, And I think it's okay to let those feelings coexist. You can like a thing, but you can also critique it in a way that's healthy for you, that you're not letting it consume you. And I just feel like we have had such good women in great roles of Star Wars, right? We have Asajj Ventress. I know I'm kind of nerding out, but she was first mentioned in the 2003 Clone Wars show. It was 2D animation. The animation was designed by Genndy Tartakovsky. It's hard to say his name, but he also did Samurai Jack. The animation there as well, and you can see it very, very clearly. And he's a cool guy. He did a lot of work for Powerpuff Girls. Tangent. We've had Asajj, we've had Ahsoka, you've had Mother Talzin even, like if you really want to get deep with it, Mara Jade, like from OT, right, like the Legends source material. You've got so many women that like are great, and then you've got aliens that are just like so cool. Star Wars is such a great thing, and you can have that diversity as long as that character, for me, is written well. I think that's the most important part. You see Dune, this new movie, and well, it's not new. It's been around for a long time, the creation of Dune, but the newer movies that are coming out are just awesome. Like, they're written pretty well. The second one I've seen a lot of memes about, but I haven't been able to see it yet, so it's kind of been spoiled, of course, by the internet. And I just feel like people are able to do those things nowadays, and that grants you the ability to be free and have your own ability to say what you want, as long, you know. And I feel like people are allowed to do that, but there's just so much hate in the world, and I feel like you can, you know, I wouldn't say love and hate, but you can dislike something and also like it, you know. And I think that's perfectly okay. There are things I loved about 7, 8, and 9, but I also did not like at all. Just choreography issues, you know, you have a lot of writing issues and continuity problems. And then, you know, a lot of modern Disney projects that they've done for Star Wars has just really shown me the real side of Disney, right? It's about making money for a big corporation. Now, George Lucas himself, when he created this idea of Star Wars and stuff, it was just such a small thing back in the day, and it was very not cool for people. They didn't expect it. It's something they've never seen before until they watched it. And of course, I wasn't born, so there's many different opinions on what people believe, but I saw videos of people coming out of the theaters and they loved it, and they felt joy from seeing this movie, and feeling gratitude. And it was just so cool to see like their faces light up about something new. Going to a theater in 1977, I believe, and just seeing this movie is just so awesome. And I wish I was there for that time, because that was a new idea, right? Labyrinth, you have these cool movies that George has worked on. Indiana Jones, he had these ideas for shows, and he sold these ideas because he, I believe, got tired. You know, you become old and your brain is tired from doing all this work. He worked hard for this idea, and he sold it to a friend, and I think that that's personally okay. But I think that Disney itself as a corporation is worried about making money because it is so big. And the problem is we as fans can't do much about it besides speak out on what we feel is right. And it's all at the end of the day about money and who views what, you know, and how many viewers and what is making the most money at the end of the day. And I personally believe that Disney Plus is a cool app. There's a lot of things that you have on there that you don't really have if you don't have a physical copy, right? Simpsons especially is the most viewed thing on Disney Plus, at least last year and the year before, but from what I remember. And I think it amazes me that what is on Disney Plus and how much you can see, and just everything it's a very big app for how much people in the Star Wars community don't like it. And I think that's because the shows we've had are just such filler shows. They really kind of mess around and retcon a lot of things from past events and past books, comics, and just things that a lot of fans really liked. Games, you know, for example. There's a lot of things, right, with the games that are just kind of hard to put into live action, of course, and it gets expensive when you put things into reality, for sure. But I would just say that the Disney shows that we have so far, there are few and far between that are good and almost great, I would say. Like, that's the thing. Mando season 1, 2 are awesome. Season 3 fell off because they made Boba, and it was just a flip-flop of Grogu, really. And it just was a little off, and you get a lot of things that I feel like you can dislike about something, and there was things I loved about Boba, right? The first couple episodes where he was with the Tuskens, it was beautiful, and it really showed kind of who he is as a character. But at the same time, you have Clone Wars where you show Boba as a kid who is very aggressive and mean and kills people, so it shows maybe his character development a little bit, and it's awesome. And then you kind of add too much and bunch it all up at the end, and it just becomes super not what you're used to. Oops. Not what you're used to. And I think that it just feels not the same, and you know, people are hard to deal with change. But again, I think that I'm just kind of going off on tangents, and I really just want these shows to be good. You know, the writing, anything, right? The people they add in it, just everything to be good. And you can't always have good. You have to see things that aren't great and they become good, right? You know, a lot of people didn't like things that George made. A lot of people didn't like stuff that Stephen King made, and a lot of these big names, right? There are things that people hated that they made, and there are things that they loved. And I think maybe if we open up our eyes just a little bit, we can see that we have differing ideas, but we can all come together and, like, gosh, I'm talking with my hands, but we can all come together and see that, you know, we have differences, but like if we kind of like collaborate a little bit and like maybe we can make ideas together and, you know, show people that you don't always need money to create an awesome idea. You could sell that idea, right? And that's what people have done. DC for a long time, you know, Marvel, all of these people, it started out as ideas. And I'm so happy to have sat here and talked with you guys. I know it's kind of short, but I have things to do. Kind of busy. So yeah, Star Wars is something that I've just always loved, and it was something that made me feel like I could be a superhero, honestly. You know, same with Spider-Man and all these things as a kid made you feel powerful in a good way, you know, where like you could go watch it and then, you know, be like, hey, mom, dad, can I go play outside, right? And you just woo, 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 with a stick or something, and like, you know, as a kid, it feels so great. And then as an adult, it follows you because you love those things, you know, and I think it's perfectly fine to be a nerd and grasp that freeing feeling of being a child. I think that a lot of adults forget that, and like that's why you kind of become sad and depressed, or you start to drink or get, you know, have addictions and lose sight of imagination and happiness, you know. And um thank you again for everybody's support, for real. It means a lot to me. Yeah, if you, again, such a cliche thing, but if you could just like, subscribe, and kind of just follow me for more. I have a Facebook and Instagram, so uh, I'll try and figure that kind of stuff out. Not good with technology, so super corny and weird, but I'll get the hang of YouTube and everything like that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.